All right, what's going on, people? What's going on, all you dogs, all you players? I'm back again. My name's Avery, if you don't know me, and making another video where I'm just gonna be hanging out and just talking about some CDs that I recently acquired because it's fun for me, right? And if it's fun for me, chances are it might be fun for some other people out there, depending on your tastes, of course. So, before I get into it, I got a huge stack here of stuff that I recently acquired, plus like a couple other smaller stacks over here. But the first thing I want to say is I am not going to be playing any clips of any music in this video because I did that in my last video where I was talking about the Leviathan album. I played like 30 seconds of or 40 seconds of track one off of that Leviathan album, and I got claimed, right? I got fucking copyright claimed, and I tried to appeal it. But you know, these copyright holders, they play by their own rules. You gotta play by their rules, you know? So, my fucking views on that video were like super minimal. So, you know, and my channel's like super small. I don't usually get more than like 50 views on a video anyway. So if I'm only getting 11 views on a fucking video, it's like, all right, no more clips, okay? So with all this music that I'm gonna be talking about, you're kind of just gonna have to use your imagination with it, and like if you're interested in it, you're just gonna have to look it up on your own time. It's just kind of how we're doing it. So the first CD, the first one on this stack, first of all, I'm gonna start with the hard shit, all right? I'm gonna start with some of the heavier music, and then work my way down to some of the more easy listening stuff, you know? So we're gonna start with this big old stack of fucking metal/hardcore records. So this first one, this is my most recent acquisition, okay? I bought this album today. I just unwrapped it. I have not even listened to it yet. I don't know what this album sounds like, but this is Blood Incantation with their most recent album, Absolute Elsewhere. Don't know what it sounds like. Have not listened to this album yet. It just, you know, it's one of those albums where you just kind of look at the album cover and you're like, okay, this is going to be awesome. Like, I don't know what this is going to sound like. I just know it's going to be sick. I have listened to some of the earlier Blood Incantation stuff. Like, I like that album Star Spawn that came out a while back. That was like almost 10 years ago, I think. That album came out in like 2016 or whatever. But if you don't know Blood Incantation, they are a death metal band from Colorado. I guess you could call them a progressive death metal band because they have a lot of, you know, progressive rock type shit going on. There's a lot of Pink Floyd energy in this band's music, if you ask me. It's kind of like if Pink Floyd was a death metal band, which is pretty cool. They're very concept album oriented. They're very sci-fi oriented. There's a lot of like, I mean, as you can see, it kind of looks like a bit of a sci-fi situation. So I bought this album today, just cracked it open. This is what it looks like on the inside, you know, pretty sublime stuff. We get a little photo of the band there. Those are the fucking, I mean, they just look like a metal band, these guys, right? But yeah, I don't really know what this album sounds like. Again, I haven't listened to it. I'm excited to listen to it. I just kind of, you know, I was in a record store today and I wanted to buy something, and I was like, I saw this, it was brand new in the shrink wrap, so I was like, I'm just gonna get it because I like this band, and this seems like a record that is just gonna kick ass, right? So that's Blood Incantation with Absolute Elsewhere. Up next, we have an album that I love to death. I've listened to this album many, many times, okay? So this is not like Blood Incantation. I'm talking about Chamber with their 2023 album, A Love to Kill For. I love this band so much that I'm repping them right now. I'm wearing the fucking hoodie, okay? I've seen this band live twice. I have a hoodie. I have a t-shirt. I love the shit out of this band, okay? Chamber is a band from Nashville, Tennessee, if you can read it there. Chamber, Nashville, Tennessee. And they're like, I guess you could call them a hardcore metalcore type band with like some mathcore elements. They got some death metal elements, you know, but they're metalcore. Definitely music that makes you want to go crazy in a pit. And when it comes to like the metalcore stuff, Chamber is kind of my favorite right now. They're just one of those bands, like, I've just listened to the shit out of all their albums, and they could pull out any song. Like, if I'm seeing this band live, they can pull out any song, and I know exactly how to fucking mosh to it. I know exactly what to do. I just love this band. This album came out in 2023. Produced by Randy LaBeouf. Okay, so Randy, if you don't know, he's kind of one of the it boys right now when it comes to hardcore metalcore production. And yeah, this album just kicks fucking ass. It's 30 minutes long. It's not that long of a record. It goes by like that. None of the tracks on this album, there's only one track that is at like the 4-minute mark. There's the title track, A Love to Kill For, 3 minutes and 59 seconds, right? That's the longest song on the album. All the other songs, they just barely crack 2 minutes, you know. Some of them are below 2 minutes. So this album is just a fucking, it just smacks you in the face, and then, you know, it moves on its way. You know what I mean? I also love the packaging on this record. I always kind of preferred cardboard packaging for CDs, more so than like the jewel cases. Jewel cases are fine if they're well made, but I don't know, there's just something about the cardboard. It just kind of speaks to me a little bit more. This comes with the little lyric sheet. It's one of those lyric sheets that kind of unfolds. There they are. Those are the guys. Fucking maniacs, these guys. It's like, this is one of those bands where, like, I don't know how these guys come up with their stuff. They're just next level like that. You know, they're just one of those bands you listen to. And, like, if you're a musician, you kind of know what I mean. Like, they're just one of those bands you listen to and you're just like, what the fuck? Like, how did these guys come up with this stuff? So yeah, I love the shit out of this band. I love the shit out of this record. Chamber, A Love to Kill For. Check it out. Next record. Okay, we're getting deep and dark with this next one. We're getting deep and dark, all right? Because now we're getting into some black metal. I don't know if you guys are into black metal at all, but I'm one of those people. I love to get crazy with some black metal here and there. So we got Achilles with their 2024 album, House of the Black Geminis. Another band from Colorado, just like Blood Incantation. I don't know where from Colorado these guys are from. Matter of fact, I don't know where in Colorado Blood Incantation is from either. But point is, they're from the Rocky Mountain area, right? A lot of great heavy music comes from Colorado, is what I'm starting to learn. But yeah, this band, Achilles, they're a black metal band, so they're all about just like sounding as dark and as evil as possible, you know? This is another like digipack, like cardboard packaging CD, so like, you know, it's one of those like, okay, there's the cover, you unfold it, there's some artwork, and then there's the CD with like some more artwork. I think there's some artwork behind the CD as well. Sorta. It's kind of just like, I gotta like grab it with both hands. It's kind of like some kind of bat logo. It's like the Avenged Sevenfold logo, but way cooler because it's black metal, you know? But yeah, this album is awesome. Achilles records are kind of difficult to get a hold of, is what I'm learning. They're not super available. This This is their newest album. It came out last year, so it's a little bit more available than like their previous albums. But yeah, their previous albums, it's like you gotta hunt for them. You know what I mean? Like they're not like super available. So I was very happy to get this. This band is just like, you know, just it's like typical black metal. You know, you could tell it's very influenced by like that second wave Norwegian scene. You know, there's a lot of Emperor influence in this band, I think. But you know, it's just it's a very modern. It's one of those black metal albums, and really Achilles in general. They're one of these black metal bands that like actually really gives a shit about production. Like they're trying to like make like a really massive sounding album, because black metal is not really known for that. Black metal is more known for having some lo-fi shit going on with their production. Black metal is usually about like, all right, we're gonna make the shittiest recording possible on purpose, right? But Achilles, like when you listen to this album, House of the Black Geminis, this album sounds like it costs a lot of fucking money to record. Like it's seriously high quality stuff. So if you like super dark blast beat, like drums that just sound like that with like vocals that are just like if you're into that kind of thing, you gotta check out Achilles. Very cool band. Next record, okay? We're gonna get back into the hardcore world a little bit. This is a classic record. We got the Dillinger Escape Plan with their 2007 album, Ironworks. This is a really old school album for me. I heard this album when it was brand new, back when I was in high school. I was like a freshman in high school when this album came out. And I had just never heard anything like this band. Like, when it comes to like hardcore music, the way, the timeline for me is, you know, I started to get into heavy metal and hardcore music when I was like in middle school. Like I grew up hearing bands like Metallica and Pantera, you know, like those were the two metal bands I knew when I was like a little kid. And then when I got into middle school, that's when I started like hearing bands like August Burns Red and like Underoath and The Devil Wears Prada, like kind of that more Warped Tour-y kind of stuff. So for me, like, and like Killswitch Engage too, and Unearthed, like some of that, I guess, not Warped Tour, but like more new wave of American heavy metal type stuff, you know? So I heard all that music when I was in middle school. Like really Killswitch Engage was like the first metal band I heard that was like, oh wow, like this shit is heavier than Pantera, you know? Like Killswitch was kind of the first band I heard that made me think that. So for a while, like that was my threshold. Like my threshold for heavy music was like Killswitch Engage, August Burns Red, you know, some of the heavier Underoath stuff, you know. And then I heard this album, okay? I heard the Dillinger Escape Plan in 2007, my freshman year of high school, and I had just never heard anything like this. I like this album to me, it sounds like it's like controlled chaos. That's like the first thing it makes me think of. It's like super like precise. It's like chaos, but it's like controlled. It's super precise sounding. But also this album to me, this is what it sounds like being on drugs, you know? It's a very drugged out kind of experience listening to this. 'Cause there's all kinds of shit going on. Like this is one of the bands that people consider like to be like mathcore. Like when people think of mathcore, they think of the Dillinger Escape Plan, you know? And if you don't know what mathcore is, it's basically just hardcore music, but with like prog metal energy. It's like prog metal, but it like emotionally it's hardcore music. Like that's kind of what mathcore is. And the Dillinger Escape Plan is just like, you have some songs that just sound like absolute like it's just recorded by maniacs, and then other songs are like a little bit more rocky, a little bit more poppy, you know. So there's all kinds of, the emotional range on this album is pretty diverse. So you'll have a song like tracks 1 and 2, Fix Your Face and Lurch, are just like complete and utter like madness, right? But then track 3, Black Bubblegum, is basically like a pop rock song. Like you could almost imagine hearing that song on the radio, you know? So there's just a lot of shit going on. And the artwork is super minimal too. So they kind of went with this like, you know, there's no lyrics in this booklet. It's kind of just a bunch of abstract, like retro futuristic squares, you know? So this band is very forward thinking, especially for the time, you know, 2007. Like when you compare this album to a lot of other like metal music that came out in the year 2007, there's really not a lot that sounds like this. So if you're into stuff that's a little bit weirder, a little bit more avant-garde, check out the Dillinger Escape Plan, Ironworks. Very cool record. All right, next record. Staying in the hardcore metalcore world, we got Vane with their debut album. Their debut 2018 album, Error Zone. Dude, this album fucking blew me away when I heard it the first time. This is another album, like kind of similar to the Dillinger Escape Plan. Like when this came out, I had never heard anything quite like it. This album is, I would say, it takes like the Dillinger Escape Plan, Converge, and Slipknot, those 3 bands, those 3 sounds, and it kind of just mashes them all together. Like that's kind of what this album sounds like to me. It's like mathcore, metalcore, new metal, just insanity, right? This is one of those albums where like just front to back, it's just nothing but bangers, right? Front to back bangers, like just straight up a 10 out of 10, okay? There are very few albums that like hold a candle to this. I think it's one of the best metal albums ever recorded. And you know, packaging wise, it comes in this jewel case. Very cool red CD with the Closed Casket Activities logo right there. And then the booklet, you know, kind of a basic booklet. You know, we got the bass player there, we got the singer there, you know, we got guitarist and drummer there, got some highway shit going on, other guitar player playing lyrics, and then just like this hard as fuck photo of the band, right? Pretty basic packaging, but you know, this album is just like if there's one album that I would say, like, you know, if you're into heavy music at all, if there's one album that you need to check out, this is the one to just check out, like regardless of what you listen to. And now we're going back into the deep, dark black metal territory with this next album. We got another Leviathan CD. This is the debut album from Leviathan. This is the 10th sub-level of Suicide. So, you know, a little something for the bride and groom to dance to once they're done tying the knot, right? It's the debut album, so like it's very rough around the edges, black metal, very just very cult. If you could, you know, if you're hip to black metal, you know what I'm talking about. Very dark, but also like has a lot of soul. Like there's a lot of soul on this album. I talked about Leviathan before, like in my last video. I talked about this CD, Massive Conspiracy Against All Life, which, because I already talked about it, I won't go into too much detail about that one. But this album is like the, you know, this is like the 3rd or 4th full-length Leviathan album, so it's quite a bit more advanced. This is super just like bare bones, recorded on a 4-track tape. like no frills, just pure raw, just intense black metal. This is an interesting album too for a black metal album because it's very much going for that old school like 90s second wave sound, like that Norwegian sound. But there's also a lot of bass. The bass on this album is amazing. Like, if you're one of those people who's like, yeah, black metal is cool aesthetically or whatever. I like how dark and kind of evil it sounds, but like, I just hate that the production sucks and that there's never any bass on these albums. Check out this album, because this album, the bass is like right up front and center. You hear it and it fucking grooves, you know, like surprisingly. Like, as much as a black metal album can groove, this album fucking grooves. And it's also the first full-length Leviathan album, so like it's got this page of liner notes, and I just had to quickly mention how funny and kind of edgelordy these liner notes are. So up front, up top, it says, Leviathan is rest. All instruments, voices, and sounds. So it's recorded by one guy. He does all the instruments and the vocals. Rest, or Jeff Whitehead, that's his real name. And then underneath that, it's got like, you know, it's like, I want to thank these people, right? That part of the liner notes. So it says, this chalice of bleakest expressions is raised to, and then all these people, like it's a bunch of people from like the record label it was released on, a couple other black metal musicians he's collaborated with in the past. And then it says this is my favorite part. It says, curious novelty seekers and their unoriginal cockleach ideas of what true is, mollusks that deem themselves qualified to review for their inability to create anything, fucking die gobbling Christian turds, 3 exclamation points. Your pathetic whimpers ignite this metal, 3 exclamation points. So, you know, Jeff Whitehead was going through his edgelord phase when he recorded this album, and you gotta love that. Like, you just, there's nothing better than a solo black metal musician just being an edgelord, right? Like, your pathetic whimpers ignite this metal. Like, honestly, put that on my tombstone, dude. Like, that's some shit to live by, for real. So yeah, that's Leviathan, the 10th sublevel of suicide. Like, if you're into music that is just dark for the sake of dark, like, check out this album. It's really great. I mean, all the Leviathan stuff is awesome. Okay, so next we have another new record. This album came out earlier this year, just in the summertime. Back into the hardcore metalcore world, but a little bit of a different flavor. Okay, this is a deathcore band. We got Psycho Frame. Psycho Frame, baby, with their debut album entitled Salvation Laughs in the Face of a Grieving Mother. So, you know, you want to talk about edgelord shit, like, it doesn't get much more edgelord than Psycho Frame. I mean, the name of the band is Psycho Frame, right? The name of the record is Salvation Laughs in the Face of a Grieving Mother. Like, what does that even mean? But anyway, so here's what the disc looks like. Little photo of the band, right? And usually I don't really like deathcore music. If you don't know deathcore, it's basically like, it's like a subgenre of metalcore, but with death metal elements, right? So it's like these metalcore bands grew up listening to like Cannibal Corpse and like stuff like that. Normally I don't like deathcore. I just kind of find it to be a little bit too caveman-y, you know? It's a little bit too like, it's just a little bit too edgelordy. I'll put it like that. A little bit too caveman-ish, a little bit too edgelord-ish, a little bit too bro-y and like a little bit fratty, like just kind of like, I don't know, like I like stuff that's a little bit more emotional, like Vane, for example. And to be frank, Psycho Frame is 100% guilty of all that shit. They are 100% guilty of being just a bunch of edgelords, right? But the difference is this band is really fucking good. So I bought the CD because I really enjoy this band's music. They're one of the few deathcore bands where I'm like, wow, this band's really fucking good. These guys are like the New England Patriots of deathcore, you know? The production on this album is just completely blown out, but like in a good way. Like the snare just pops like a firecracker. It's produced and engineered and recorded by one of the band members. This guy right here is a guy named Hunter Young. He's like kind of the mastermind behind this band. And yeah, like I said, I don't usually go for this kind of music, but like when a band just rolls up and just makes shit that's like actually really good, like it kind of doesn't matter, you know? It's like this band is making me like deathcore, so I gotta give them some respect for that. So that's Psycho Frame. Check them out if you're into like just super ignorant music. So this next one is a CD that I actually bought many years ago, but like because I'm just now getting back into CDs, I decided to pull this out and give it another spin. This is Between the Buried and Me, Future Sequence, live at the Fidel-torium. So it's basically a live version of their 2012 album, Parallax Future Sequence. And this is just like super mega prog metal, you know, like more sci-fi shit too. Like BT Band was going through a bit of a sci-fi phase when they recorded this album. And it's just fun. It's fun, super cerebral, super just like out there proggy metal, you know. But what I always loved about Between the Buried and Me is even though they're a prog metal band, they started out in the hardcore scene, right? Like Paul Wagoner, the guitar player, and Tommy Rogers, the singer. Those two guys started playing music together in like this North Carolina metalcore band called Prayer for Cleansing. And that's like super classic 90s, like breakdowny metalcore, right? So that's the world these guys come from. And even though they like went in a completely different direction with BT Band, they still have a little bit of that in them. They still have some of that hardcore metalcore energy in them. So I've always loved that. I've always loved that about BT Band. So yeah, quick little blast from the past here. I bought this when it was new. This was new in like 2014 or 13 or something like that. Like I've had this for a really long time. But yeah, so there's that. And I think that's all the heavy albums that I recently acquired. Everything else is a little bit softer. So before we move on to that stuff, I'm just gonna move this shit out of the way. Alright, okay, cool. So now we're gonna talk about some more classic sounding stuff. So I was very excited to get this next one in the mail, okay? I was very excited to get this one. This is Jimi Hendrix, Band of Gypsys Live, okay? Hendrix, I mean, need I say more? I mean, it's fucking Hendrix, for God's sakes. Just one of the most classic, like it doesn't get any more classic than this. You know what I mean? And Hendrix, you know, he's more known for the music he made with the Jimi Hendrix Experience, you know? So like albums like Axis Bold as Love and you know, Are You Experienced? Like, all of his big hits are from those albums. What's that other album? He had a third album too. I can't remember the name of it, but anyway, he ended the Jimi Hendrix Experience after a while because he was kind of starting to get bored with like making like kind of poppy shit for the fucking radio. So he decided to start a new band called Band of Gypsies. And Band of Gypsies was way more just about just bluesing the fuck out. It was more about improvisation, like extending all the sections, just being more freeform with it. And they never really recorded a studio album. They probably would have if he hadn't died in the year 1970. So the only recorded music of Band of Gypsies is the live shit. And this album was recorded at the Fillmore right here in New York City. The Fillmore is that's a venue that doesn't really exist anymore. And I just think it's the best Hendrix stuff. This is my favorite Jimi Hendrix material, is the stuff on Band of Gypsies Live. So God bless, right? Gotta love Hendrix. I mean, I've met people who don't fuck with Hendrix, and I don't fuck with those people at all. Like, how do you not fuck with this guy? Honestly. You know what I mean? Like, when I was in music college, bro, I would meet so many guitar player fucking guys who just didn't fuck with Hendrix because they thought he was like overrated and like too sloppy and just like, I don't know, they just had opinions about Hendrix, and I'm just like, go fuck yourself, dude. It's fucking Hendrix. Come on. So anyway, Hendrix rant over. All right. So now we got some jazz type shit. I've been getting into some jazz lately, you guys. Okay, like again, like when I was in music college, I didn't fuck with jazz at all when I was in music college because, like, I just wasn't ready for it. They try to shove it down your throat when you're in music college. But now that I'm older, I'm starting to appreciate it more. So this first one is Wayne Shorter, Night Dreamer. This is the first jazz album. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that, but like, it's one of the albums that really started to make me appreciate jazz. Wayne Shorter is a super classic dude. There he is right there. You gotta love a jazz album that's just blued out, you know? You gotta love a jazz album where it's just blues and blacks all over the art direction, you know? Released on Blue Note Records, of course. This album is gorgeous. It's fucking, you know, it's the album that made me think like, oh wow, actually I think I like jazz now. You know, like this is the album that started to make me think that way. And Wayne, he actually he passed away like not too long ago. Like I think it was 2021 or 2022 was when he passed away. So it's pretty recent. But anyway, God bless Wayne Shorter. And up next we have another jazz classic, John Coltrane, A Love Supreme. This is one of those albums that kind of doesn't need any introduction. Wow, check out the reflection. You can see my phone through the fucking jewel case. It's like, that's pretty trippy. But anyway. So yeah, Coltrane, A Love Supreme, classic album. Another album that kind of started to make me understand jazz a little bit more. Which is kind of interesting because this is, listening to this, this is pretty advanced stuff. Like this is not, I would say that this is probably not entry level music. Like if you're trying to get into jazz, this is some pretty, A Love Supreme is some pretty advanced stuff, I think. So there's that. And then we have a bunch of CDs that I didn't buy, but I kind of inherited in a way. So first of all, we have, I went to my parents' house and I went to my parents' apartment the other day and I just picked up a bunch of these. This one belonged to my mom many, many years ago. The Reality Bites soundtrack. This is probably the most basic bitch CD that I've acquired. There's a lot of like, just like basic bitch music on this thing. We got The Knack with their hit song My Sharona, track 1. Bunch of stuff I'm not really familiar with. We got Lisa Loeb. Track 6 is Lisa Loeb with her hit song Stay, you know? Super rom-com shit. We got Lenny Kravitz on here. We got Dinosaur Jr. on here. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen this movie, but it literally says Reality Bites, a comedy about love in the 90s. And it's like, yeah, this was definitely my mom's album. So there's that. And then we got a few CDs that that I got from my grandfather's house when he passed away. So my grandfather passed away earlier this summer. And, you know, he and I did not have a super great relationship. You know, he was kind of a hard dude to get along with, you know. He very infamously hated most music, right? Especially anything with like electric instruments. He just didn't fuck with it all. So like, as you can imagine, he and I didn't really see eye to eye on a lot of stuff. But you know, he's still my gramps. He's still family. So like, when we were clearing out his room at the old people's home he was living at, I picked up some of his CDs, right? He only really liked classical music, and specifically Debussy. It was like, I mean, he had some CDs that were not Debussy, but like Debussy's, like when it came to music, Debussy was really the only guy he fucked with. So we got some Debussy shit on here. His favorite piece ever was Clair de Lune, right? So we got some Debussy with some Ravel thrown in there. String quartet type shit, you know? It's like Titanic as fuck. It's like, oh, they're not even gonna listen to us. Well, they don't listen to us at dinner either. Right? I'm just being a dick for no reason. Yeah, this one is a Debussy Greatest Hits, but like I just opened it up and there's no CD in there, so it's like, fuck, can't even listen to that one. But then we got this last one that I'll mention. This was actually my uncle's. My uncle was super cool. Uncle Thomas was his name. And Tchaikovsky, the Nutcracker. We got some tracks from the Nutcracker and some tracks from Swan Lake. So I figured, you know, my uncle's another guy who passed away. I should probably own something that he used to own as well. He actually passed away right before COVID-19, so he got out while the getting was good. God bless Uncle Thomas, right? I was actually listening to this morning. You know, the Nutcracker, as classic as it is, and as much as I like it, it's hard for somebody my age in the year 2025 to like really get into, because this music has been parodied to hell. Like, there's so many corny fucking comedy movies from the 90s that use this music as like a joke. You know what I mean? So it's kind of hard to get into. But it's like, this shit, it's more of a sentimental thing with me, because these CDs belong to family members who passed away, right? And, you know, that's about it for now, you know? We went through a lot of shit. A lot of crazy-ass metal music, some easy listening advanced jazz, some easy listening classical, and of course, Hendrix, you know? That's all I got for now, you know? Hopefully this video gets more views, but if it doesn't, like, who really gives a fuck?